How many of you had a friendship that you thought was gonna last, but didn't last as long as you thought it was? Or how many of you had friends that you were good friends in high school, but don't even know where they're at or what they're doing? So it leads me to the quote: "Friendship is like a plant; we must often water." So I interpret this. I do agree with this. I interpret this in a way that, you know, a plant needs to grow, and your friendship can grow too. So by watering it, it grows. I have a few examples, my own personal example. The first example, I had a friend. She was my best friend, and on my birthday, we were supposed to go out, me, my boyfriend, and her, and she went with us. She went in the car, and she made an excuse to get out of the car. I don't know if she felt uncomfortable. She made an excuse to get out of the car by saying, "Oh, I forgot my credit card." She gave me the present. She walked off on my birthday. So that was I was hurt. I was hurt, and I was like, okay, you know, fine. You know, I wasn't gonna stop her from walking off, but you know, felt bad. But we had a miscommunication, or I guess a misunderstanding. I guess she felt that I wanted to be alone, but I didn't. I wanted her to be with me on my birthday. But we talked about it. We're still friends now. After me and my boyfriend broke up, you know, I went to her, and you know, we talk now. We talk as good friends. And if I didn't go, you know, say for example, if I hold that grudge against her and be like, oh, you know, forget you, whatever, you know, we wouldn't be friends today. Another example is that I recently just bought a car, and my friend, he actually did a big favor for me. He drove me to get insurance. He drove me to get my parents to take me to the dealer, and actually helped me get the car. And that was a big favor that, you know, if I didn't have him as a friend, you know, I don't know who I would go to. And I wouldn't even have a car today. So another one is, you know, a lot of us have friends, and like say for example, if you can't go to a family member, you know, you go to your friends. You go and say, you know, I have this problem, and blah blah blah, and you tell them your whole story, and they listen, and they give you advice, and you know, you see what goes on from there. And I feel that our friendship, it plays a big, you know, part in our lives. So that's what I think that friendship we must often water. Thank
All right, you've got a survey, kind of rhetorical question at the beginning as your attention device. It's okay. The transition to the quote was pretty effective, and your point of view was nicely stated. There's not really much of a setup of what the content's going to be. You've got a few examples to talk about, and the examples, I think, when you talk about them are fine. Once you get to an example, you give it a little bit of detail. You sort of reflect on it a bit. I think that you're doing the right kind of thing. There's always more follow-up that you can do on each of those points, but they were okay, and they do give it a little bit of a structure since there are distinct examples for you to be looking at. On the presentation, I think you need to project your voice a little bit more. Your tone and inflection is kind of in a narrow range, and so I think it needs to come across a little bit more animated. It sounds uncertain, and there's nothing wrong with being low-key, but you don't want to forget that the audience needs a little bit more energy, and that if you feel passionate about something or you've got an emotional reaction, that's probably the easiest way to reflect those sorts of things. You had a few indicators as gestures. I thought that when you're looking at the audience, you look friendly, but again, same kind of thing like with the voice. I think you need a little bit more animation in your expression. You do tend to look down occasionally, although I do think you engage the audience pretty regularly. There are times when it seems like you're looking away and you're sort of thinking about the subject. Typically you look down. I thought your posture suggested general confidence, but all the movement seemed to be back away from the audience, so at the end you're a couple steps further back than when you started. Not really noticeable, but not as forceful as it could be. At the end of the speech, you do come back to your point. It seems a little bit perfunctory, but it does make the point that you were talking about. All right, thank you.